Okay, it may seem like a silly question, but we're often asked, how does the toilet affect the septic tank? That's what the septic tanks are for, to handle the toilet. But how those toilets work in the household range by different households. And there's 5 questions to consider on how your household toilets are going to affect the septic tank. We have them listed up here for you. But the first thing you have to know is how many people are in the house, and was it designed for that many people? The metrics on it are basically a house with 5 bedrooms is going to have a 1,500 gallon tank. A house with 3 bedrooms is going to have a 1,000 gallon tank. Now it varies a little bit from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but they're making an assumption of about 80 gallons per day per person in the household. And they have this all mathematically figured. But what you want to know is your system oversized, undersized, or proper sized? And you start with how many people are in the house. If you have a 3-bedroom house, you'll have about a 1,000 gallon tank. And if you've added on 2 extra bedrooms without increasing the size, now you're undersized. Or if you have extra people in the household. The second question is, what is the male to female ratio? If you have a high female ratio, you're going to need to use a little bit more and a little bit more often than if you have a high male ratio. Another question is going to be the age of the occupants. Statistically, little children and older people tend to use the toilet more than the group in the middle. So like in my household, I have 3 senior citizens over 70 and 2 under 70. So we know that we're a little higher, but we have a 1,500 gallon tank, only 5 people, we're fine. If I had the house filled to capacity, I could have 8 or 10 people in it. Then I need to add a little bit more just to be sure that the probiotics were doing their job and staying ahead of the extra demand. A fourth question is, what kind of toilets are in the house? Older toilets use 5 to 7 gallons per flush. Newer toilets use only 1.6 gallons per flush. If you have the older system, it'd be really wise to replace those toilets with the modern toilets that are only using the 1.6 gallons. Average person will flush the toilet 5 times a day. That's a difference between 140 gallons per day going to that tank and 32 gallons per day. The simple solution there, put in new toilets with a smaller water volume. The last thing we want to consider is the toilet leaking? We read a statistic in Daytona Beach where they were estimating that a leaking toilet that just is kind of constantly running will use up to 200 gallons per day. That's 6,000 gallons a month of water going through the toilet that you're paying for that is being of no benefit to anyone. If your toilet is leaking, absolutely fix it. That will solve a lot of the problems of putting too much pressure on the holding tank.